Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We have a fairly small group today, so we may end a bit early, but I'd like to just have everybody go around and introduce themselves. Looks like we might have one, maybe two new folks here that people may not know. So I will just kind of go across the screen and ask you to introduce yourself and tell us your role and who you work for or with. So let's start with John.
Mobility Manager here at United Way in Utah County.
Thank you. Jay.
Jay Wacker, Operations Manager for Yellow Cab and Ute Cab.
Gary.
I'm Gary Tippett with the United Way, also Utah Valley Paratransits, whichever you prefer. So.
Okay, Phil.
I'm Phil Shumway. I'm with Turn Community Services, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the organization.
Thank you. Sandra.
I'm Sandra Curcio, Executive Director at Ability First Utah Center for Independent Living.
Thank you. Lydia.
Lydia Robertson, Accounting Manager at Turn Community Services.
Emily.
Yeah, I'm Emily Henry. I'm the 211 Director at United Way of Utah County.
Thank you for being here. Sean.
I'm Sean McWhorter. I'm a travel trainer for UTA.
Thank you. Anna. And if you're speaking, we're not able to hear you. Okay, I will come back to Anna here in a minute. Kendall.
I'm Kendall Willardson, a transportation planner for the Mountain Land Association of Governments.
Thank you for being here. Dorleen.
Hi there, I'm Dorleen Taulunga. I'm the Community Outreach Manager for UTA.
Ezra.
Yes, I'm Ezra, the County Administrator for Utah County Government.
Great, thank you for being here. Let's see, Linda.
I'm Linda Cole. I'm Deputy Director with MAG Aging and Family Services.
Thank you. Anna, I'm going to jump back to you. Let's try again and see if we can have you introduce yourself.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I'm Anna Stopper. I'm the Senior Center Programs Director for Payson City.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to glance at the screen real quick. Okay. I am Trista Lawrence, the Coordination Administrator at UTA in the Coordinated Mobility Grants Department. Christy.
I am Christy Allen. I am the Manager of Coordinated Mobility. And then real quick, since I have the mic, if you received, I'd have to look, but if you received transit vans in the last award, they will be coming hopefully early fall. So we'll keep you posted.
Okay. Alika.
My name is Alika Lindsay. I am the Coordinated Mobility Grant Administrator for 5310 funds.
Thank you. And I am excited to introduce and welcome Glenda Clausen to our team at UTA. She is our new compliance officer, so I'm going to let her talk for just a minute and tell you what she'd like to say.
Thanks, Trista. Like she said, my name is Glenda Clausen. I work for UTA in the Coordinated Mobility Department. I work with Alika. I will be the new compliance officer. I'm excited to be part of this team and work with you guys and learn more about your programs and do what I can to help you stay compliant and keep the money coming in that you need to run your programs.
Thank you, Glenda. It looks like we've had a couple more people jump on. So let's see. April, can you introduce yourself? You are muted if you're talking, April. Okay. All right, April, I'm not sure what organization April is with. And then Sherry, do you want to introduce yourself real quick? Am I the only one who can't hear Sherry? No. Okay. All right. Can people hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm not having audio issues here. So, okay. Sherry is with, oh my goodness, I just totally blanked. The Senior Volunteer Program in Utah County. Senior Companionships, right? Thank you, Senior County. Thank you. Anyone who's jumped on late, if you can put your name and the agency you're with in the chat so we can track attendance, that would be fantastic. Okay. Thank you again all for being here. As Christy mentioned, hopefully we have those transit vehicles for you soon if you were awarded one. The referral line, we were supposed to have some of our campaigning roll out actually today, but there was some changes. So we will see that happening in a couple of weeks, the week of July 7th. You should start hearing radio ads and seeing some television promotions about that. About that to move forward. And we need to start rolling out the crisis trips portion of that. So we will be reaching out to some of you community partners that might be in a position to help us start providing those because we have some money we need to spend for those trips. So that will be
just 1 second.
Yes.
Sorry, Trista. So Gary and John, and maybe even my friend Jay, if he's still on here, if we get done early, will you guys stay on and we'll chat for a second? Perfect. Thank you.
Good. Great. Thanks, Christy. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn the time over to Alika to bring us up to speed on grant stuff.
Okay, hi everyone. Just some 5310 grant updates. I'm going to show you the POPs again, but you guys have already seen them since you don't do the GMAT, but I'm just going to throw them up again so you can see. Just a reminder, you should have already received your award letters by mail and email. If for some reason you did not, please reach out to me and let me know. Also, if you wish to receive a debrief on how you can improve your application for the future, I'll be open for scheduling those in July. Just reach out to me and let me know. The way that I'll be doing those is similar to how the federal government does our debriefs. So if I was to apply for a grant and I either didn't get full funding or was rejected for funding, what I do is reach out to that federal agency and ask them for a debrief, and then they schedule that with me. And they can't give me any notes from the scorers, but they can tell me what areas my score was low and what I can do to improve in that area. So if that's something that you want to do, I think that it's very helpful because then the next time I apply, I can look at my notes from the debrief and see what areas I needed to improve. So I want to provide you with that same option. And Yeah, that's it. So let me pull up the pops just one last time. This is the 2023 awards. And if you recall, they are in order of application score. And then, well, you didn't have a GMAT. So yeah, and then we just discussed the projects. So that's 2023. Where did 2024 go? My other screen. Here is the awards for 2024. Okay. And once these are approved by the FTA, I can make them public, send them to you, put them on the website, whatever you need. Okay. I'll get back to my PowerPoint. Okay. Also, just to let you know, the post-award training is coming up. It will be in September, I think September 10th and 12th, unless something comes up. I'm not sure which one will be in person or virtual yet because I need to look at room availability. I do recommend the in-person one. I know it's far for you guys to drive if I hold it in Salt Lake, but I think that people have an easier time paying attention. It opens the room for discussions and questions better than the virtual one, and because it's a long training and it's a really important training. Please send all of your staff that's involved with the grant. That includes the fleet managers who might be reporting in Ride Pilot. That includes people who are submitting quarterly reports and Zoom grants, people who are submitting invoices in Zoom grants, grant managers, project managers, whoever touches the project, because it's a big training. It's important. We cover everything. And if you only send one staff person and they aren't doing all those things, then it leaves a lot of people out of the loop and they don't understand what's going on with the grant. So please make sure that everyone attends. Grant agreements. Okay, so I'm getting all of the awards in to FTA tomorrow, and then the FTA can take anywhere from 2 to 4 months to approve those. I'm hoping that they go quickly this time. We are going to be drafting and preparing your grant agreements while we're waiting for the FTA to review and approve those. As soon as they approve them, we can send out the grant agreements in DocuSign to you. Please make sure that if anyone in your agency has left or anything has changed, that you check the signing process and the signing person that you uploaded in Zoom grants with your application, and make sure that that's accurate, because we will be using that documentation to determine who to send the agreement to. Again, it will be sent digitally in DocuSign unless you have let us know that your policy requires something different. We will also have a lunch and learn on understanding your agreement, but I have pushed it out a little ways so that we have time to update those agreements. And just a reminder, please read your agreement. And then we will talk about the lunch and learns a little bit more in a bit. Just so you know, some uniform guidance changes are going to be taking effect in October 2024. And sorry, my computer's doing something weird. Hold on. Okay. And the uniform guidance, just as a reminder, is the big rule book that oversees all federal grants. So it is the circular, people call it the super circular, the uniform guidance. It's the big one. All federal grants have to comply with it. Then there's a smaller circular that's just for the 5310 program. That has not been updated, but there are changes to the uniform guidance that are coming. The biggest ones that I'm aware of that will affect or may affect this program is in relation to the False Claims Act. We have to start adding statements to our invoices, our applications, our financial statements that you send in annually that say you certify to the best of your knowledge that the following information is accurate and true. And so we will be putting that verbiage in Zoom grants on the invoice. So after you upload your backup documentation and everything, you have to basically initial or sign off on this certification. And then when you send in your annual financial statements, we'll have to add some kind of page that you sign, okay? And it will also be added to the grant agreements. Another change that's upcoming is in relation to disposal. When you dispose of an asset, currently, you just let us know that you're disposing of it. Anything over $5,000 has to be given back to the FTA. They also no longer allow the vehicle to go back into the program. I think that changed a couple years ago, but now they're changing it again. And the limit is 10,000 because the cost or the value of vehicles has increased so much. So now you can keep anything below 10,000, but if you make money above 10,000 on selling or disposing of a vehicle that has already met its useful life, I think they do something different if it hasn't met its useful life yet. Then you have to give it back to the federal government. Also, there will be a new rule that you can keep an extra $1,000 for costs associated with handling and selling of an asset. I'm not sure all the details on that, but when those changes are made, we will make sure that we update our policies to reflect that change. They are also adding language on conflict of interest for procurement to include board members, which means that subrecipients will have to disclose any potential conflicts of interest when they make purchases. Typically, we are making large purchases on your behalf, so it's probably not something you have to worry about, but just so you know, that will be added to the grant agreements this year so that we can be ahead of these changes in policy. And a reminder that the 2019-2020 amended year is coming to an end. That was the year that we couldn't procure vehicles because of COVID supply chain issues. So Holly and Tracy asked everyone to send in requests for other capital items. And this is your last month to make purchases for those capital items. And then you have 90 days to get everything into us. If you can get them in sooner than that, that is best because that gives us more time to process them. And also gives you time you have an upcoming quarterly report that's due July 15th. So if you get all your invoices in and you click, this is the final invoice, then on your quarterly report, you can do project complete, and July 15th quarterly report can be your last one. And then we will pay all your invoices. If you have questions about that, let me know. There is a closeout report and it's not in Zoom grants, but we will send it to you. It's just one page. You fill it out. It's because we can't change the questions just on your last quarterly report. So we just have a separate page for it. And then that will complete your project. I looked at the list briefly, and these were the agencies that I saw that still had items, and Trista should have sent out some sort of email to you letting you know about that. If you have questions, let us know. If you have money remaining on an item that you don't think you're going to spend, I know we've said this over and over, but let us know and we can look at how that line item was coded and see if there's anything else you could use that money to reimburse for. So for example, I'm going to use work activity center ability inclusion services. As an example, they have extended warranties on their vehicles, but they didn't spend all of the money on those extended warranties. So we looked in the federal system to see what those warranties were coded as, and they were coded as miscellaneous vehicle support equipment. So then we asked them to go back and look at anything they bought over the past year. Is there anything that they bought that could be considered miscellaneous support equipment for their vehicles? And then they can invoice us for that, and we can reimburse it with the rest of that money. So reach out to me, let me know, and we can see what we can do and how we can spend that, because we don't want to have to give back too much money to the FTA. Let me take a drink of water. Okay, site visits for this year. You will receive a notice that you need a site visit. If you missed our last Lunch and Learn series, it was on site visits and risk assessments and how to prepare. So you can still go back and watch that on our YouTube channel. It has been recorded and posted. Agencies that might receive a site visit this year include Enable Utah, Park, WAC, Turn, Utah's Promise, Utah Independent Living Center, Ute Cab, Payson City, Barrow Care, Davis Behavioral Health, and First Step House. If your agency is not on the list, you might still require a vehicle inspection. We will reach out and let you know. Just a reminder that vehicles are inspected every 2 years, so they typically happen more often than your site visit based on your agency's risk rating. And for this current grant, the 23-24 federal fiscal year, just a reminder so that you're not worried when you see changes happen. While we're updating your grant agreements and getting those budgets and scopes ready, we will be changing the budget in the Zoom Grants budget tab to match your actual award in your grant agreement. That is why we had you do the separate budget form. That budget form will always stay the same so that you can look back in your award and look at that document if you need to remember what you applied for the previous year. But your budget within Zoom Grants will be changed to match your award so that while we're processing and paying invoices, there's no confusion and you know what your award is. Excuse me. So just so you know, that's going to happen. Upcoming Lunch and Learns. July 30th is our next Lunch and Learn. I'm going to do a lecture on fleet inventory and federal asset tracking. That's not too difficult of a topic, but the next one, understanding your grant agreement and federal clauses, is very in-depth. So I moved it to August 15th so that I have time to prepare and update your grant agreements and make sure that I'm covering all the important federal clauses. So I just need more time to prepare for that one. Post-award training will be in September, and in October, I plan on doing a lecture on time and effort tracking and certification and what that means. So those are just heads up for that. If the dates change, I'll let you know. And when one's coming up, Trista will send out the email to let you know when that is. Okay, do you have any questions for me? I don't see any questions in the chat. So I think we're good. And here is Glenda's email if you need to write it down. We are excited to have her as our compliance officer. And that is all. Thank you.
Thanks, Alika. Okay. The next portion of our meeting, we're going to talk about some safety things. Welcome, Ryan. And so I'm going to turn the time over to Christy. We're going to watch a video first, so give me just a second to get that brought up.
while Trista's finding the video, I'll do a little intro. So this, at UTA, we take safety very seriously. And so we have weekly safety messages in addition to monthly safety messages. And our monthly safety message is put out by Dan Riley. He's our safety manager, and he does a great job. And he's always very concerned about the safety of employees and the safety of the public. And so he put our monthly message this month is concerning active shooters, and he had some links to some videos and some things like that. The first video we're not going to watch because it mostly pertains to, taking shelter, say for instance, if they were to come into your business. Hopefully you guys have that kind of training with your organizations, but typically they repeat like run, hide, fight. So, if someone were to come in a building, you should try to exit if you can. If you can't, then you need to hide and then sort of secure the area you're at if you can. And then the last option is to fight, because of course that's clearly the most dangerous. But anyway, what I'm more concerned about for you guys and maybe your customers and clients is that being safe on our system, at our platforms in public. And so the video we're going to show, it does have an emphasis like on explosives, but there are things afterwards we'll talk about that can sort of apply to if there were an active shooter also. And at UTA, they talk about see something, say something in this video. We do that also. And our phone number for our police is 801-287-3937. 3937 is eyes. And we try to make sure we have that posted at bus stops, at our stations and platforms, in all of our vehicles. But again, of course, if you just can't remember, then 911 is always a safe bet, and they'll work with us. So let's go ahead and watch the video.
Okay, hopefully this is working because my screen is giving me issues. Can you see the video screen? No. Al, could you have it up as a backup?
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't. 1 second.
That's okay. Let me try this again. Are you seeing my screen now?
No, here, I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear it?
Across the country, millions of people are working, shopping, traveling, attending sporting events, concerts, shows, and schools. They are enjoying the American way of life. Freedom may be at the heart of America, but some of the things that make the country great also make it a target for those who want to hurt us. Our federal, state, and local governments are working hard to keep us safe, but we all play a role in securing our public spaces. And we are counting on you to do your part. Pay attention. Be aware. If you witness something that seems suspicious, don't rely on others to take action. If you see something, say something.
How's your Jamie?
The biggest man-made threat to our public spaces are improvised explosive devices, or IEDs. IEDs are often small and easily transportable, with catastrophic effects.
Hey, that's strange. What? This guy just walked up to that table, put a red bag down, and then walked away and left the bag.
If you see someone leave a bag or package, don't touch it. Report it. Intentionally leaving bags or packages in public spaces is a potential threat, and action must be taken. Make the call. Cameras and recording devices have gotten so small that most of us seem to have one with us all the time. It's not unusual to see people taking pictures or videos almost anywhere, but surveillance and information gathering is a common practice used by terrorists prior to an attack. If you see someone trying to conceal what they are doing, taking pictures of exits, security, or restricted areas. If they hang around for no apparent reason, ask inappropriate questions about schedules or the facility, or if they try and avoid security when approached, make the call. Fashion may follow trends, but people always dress for the season. If you see someone wearing heavy or bulky clothing that is obviously wrong for the time of year, carrying suspicious bags or acting extremely nervous, they may be carrying explosives or weapons. Don't be a hero. Try to place a solid physical object between you and the threat. Stay low to the ground and call security or the police immediately.
There was this really sketchy guy walking in the student center building. He looked like he was wearing something under his jacket. I don't know, it just really freaked me out.
You have been so good all day long. Yes.
Many of us work, visit, or live in secure buildings with multiple entrances and exits.
Oh, hey, let me get this for you.
Although these buildings feel secure, we are all often guilty of letting people in when we shouldn't.
Okay, baby girl, throw your purse.
This may seem like the nice thing to do, but people trying to gain access to buildings without permission or credentials are suspicious. If you see someone somewhere they don't belong, make the call.
It may be nothing, but some guy just snuck in behind me in my apartment building.
People try and sneak all kinds of things into small and large venues. Ticket takers and security staff are there to stop illegal, prohibited, and suspicious items from getting through the door. Big crowds and open access events can make security challenging, and terrorists know it. Venues like these are prime targets for massive attacks. Terrorists may use trucks, vans, or cars to conduct surveillance or detonate an explosive device. Report vehicles that are left intentionally, parked in prohibited areas, or are left sitting unattended for long periods of time.
It didn't feel real, though. Yeah, that's true.
Don't ignore your instincts. Vehicles parked where they don't belong are a potential threat. Make the call before it's too late. The threat is real. We are vulnerable. When it comes to keeping our public spaces safe, we are all in this together. You have the power to make a difference.
Why don't you call the police? I'm gonna get our waitress. Miss? Something really strange just happened. This guy left a bag.
Be aware, and if you witness something suspicious, don't rely on others to take action. If you see something, say something. Make the call.
Okay, so thanks for watching that for a second. So I have a few comments on that. We have in the past, it's been quite a few years ago, but we have had on our system an explosive device at a station. It was near Gateway. So these things can happen. Transit authorities are high risk. They're targeted by all kinds of individuals or organizations for whatever reason. So we have to be really diligent about the safety protocols we take at UTA to make sure that the public's safe and our service is safe for everybody. But some of these things are tricky, right? Because this video is just a little dated. I mean, and plus just, we have an extensive lost and found office. because people leave things, right? I mean, not everything's intentional. People leave backpacks and bags on our system daily. So it's hard to know what might be dangerous as opposed to what's just somebody being forgetful. So you just have to be alert, maybe read the situation. The camera part too. Now everybody has cell phones. So people are taking videos, selfies, doing stuff all the time. So I don't think you can really tell if somebody's really casing something to that nature. Then on the bulky part, the bulky clothes, particularly in downtown Salt Lake, we have a lot of unhoused individuals, and they will overdress in the summer because they don't have anywhere to put their items. So they may have coats and things on. That doesn't necessarily make them suspicious. So again, you just really have to have common sense. And then, of course, the securing of the building here at UTA, when somebody follows you in on your badge, that's called tailgating. So we try to make sure that we don't have any strangers coming into our buildings behind us. Doors aren't ajar that have, badge pass and those kinds of things. But again, it gets hard because I think all of us have some public spaces right at our, within our organizations, and hopefully we keep them as safe as we possibly can. And then, of course, the car bomb thing, that's real. I was just in Oklahoma a year ago in Oklahoma City and went to the memorial where they had that Oklahoma City bomb go off, and that killed hundreds of people. So there are things that can happen. You have to be alert to strange activities. When it comes to active shooters, on the system, like within UTA, I don't want to say in the system, but within UTA, mostly on our properties, like stations, parking lots near our stations, platforms, we have had gun activity. We just had one just recently. Now, I don't know of any mass shooting intent, but because these are usually targeted shootings between either individuals fighting, gangs, those kind of things. But the bad part about that is, the public is there. You could be caught in the crossfire. You have to be diligent when you're in, at properties in the public. If you hear gunshots, to try to run for the situation. If that doesn't work, find somewhere to hide, behind a car, behind a building, whatever that might be. And hopefully, I would hope you don't have to fight somebody off, especially if it's outside. I would hope that you could either run or take shelter somewhere, hopefully. Again, it's a hard situation because, like I say, bystanders can get hurt. We have to be very aware of knives on our system also. We do have people that have used knives to threaten our operators, bus, tracks. I don't know of any particular attacks on customers, but that's scary, right? Like, this person has a knife, they could go after anybody. You don't know their mental health situation. You don't know if they're on drugs. You don't know what their motive is. They're just angry. They have a knife. They're threatening. So those things can happen. And if you're on the UTA system, whether it's a bus or trucks, and somebody had a gun, you're in a very confined space. That's a very small situation. And if the doors don't open, you can't get out. You don't have that run option. You really just have hide or fight. And there's not lots of places to hide. I mean, you can hide behind seats and some things, or maybe go to another car, but you just have to be aware of your surroundings. Nobody wants to fight. That's a last resort. But anyway, these are just tips. We want people to be safe. We want our system to be safe. And we do our very best. We have a great police force. And again, they can work, they have all authority. They're a police force. They can arrest people, they can give tickets, they can pull somebody off this platform or out of a vehicle or whatever we need to do to keep everybody else safe. And again, that number is 801-287-ICE-3937. And just don't forget to run, hide, or fight. And hopefully you're never in a situation like that. But like I say, just always be aware of your surroundings and do the best you can. And that's all I've got for that. So thank you.
Thanks, Christy. Does anybody have questions or comments for her before we move on? Okay. Oh, hopefully I stay connected. I am getting a weird internet connection notice. Okay. The next portion, I wanted to talk a little bit about the safety of non-ambulatory clients and passengers. We have a little bit different dynamic in this group. So I wanted to ask how many of you have actually had to drive and secure somebody in some type of mobility device in a vehicle? Okay, John, can use the raise your hand feature up at the top if you want, if you don't have your camera on. Okay. Just a few, it looks like. Okay. So as administrators of organizations, what are some of the obstacles or complaints that your drivers have had about being able to safely secure someone in a mobility device? And what has been your solution or suggestion for that? I might call on people if nobody volunteers. So.
So for taxi services, our vehicles, our drivers are all trained to be aware that whether it's an ADA client or somebody that may have a foldable wheelchair, oxygen tank, or bicycles, or a house full of furniture they're wanting to move, the drivers are required to assist those clients and make sure that all stowage items are secure before the vehicle leaves. So.
Thank you, Jay. John, it looks like you've got your hand raised. Go ahead.
Only because I can't unraise it properly. No, we've got great training here as well. And I don't know of too many or any incidents about securing passengers in the vehicles.
Okay. Ryan.
So some of the challenges we have are when you're trying to secure someone or something in a device that's not quite normal. For instance, a three-wheeled scooter versus a regular manual chair or a power chair. Oftentimes you need to use, a webbing strap or some other thing to try and get that as secure as possible. And the challenge that we're seeing a lot lately is oversized. Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. Oversized
walkers.
Walkers, thank you. Oversized walkers. It used to be when a traditional walker was a fold up, the two sides would fold in and be very, very narrow and easy to stow. But now they're very big. They have seats on them. People strap a lot of things to them, bags and other things, and they're big. They're actually taking up as much space as the person and another mobility device oftentimes. And so securing walkers is a challenge as well.
So Ryan, how do you schedule for that? If you've got all of your seats full with riders and then you've got this mobility device that's basically taking up extra space, how do you handle that?
Yeah, we've had a few issues with that. We're actually going to build a new device type to go into our system. And when they're scheduling a ride and they say that they have a walker, we're going to ask a follow-up question to ask on the size of that. And then, if it's a large or oversized walker, then we're going to have to account for an additional space on the bus.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have things they want to add on potential issues? I know some of the things when I was driving for an organization, some of the things that I encountered were wheelchairs that maybe didn't have the structure on the wheelchair, so that when you're attaching those straps, you don't have that that metal piece that's secured, and so that made it unsafe to be able to secure them or to be able to get them so that there's not sliding around. Obviously, ideal would be no movement at all once they're strapped in, but I believe the national RTAP guidelines say that there shouldn't be more than 2 inches of movement in any direction. Another thing I think it's important for us to remember and to remind our drivers and staff is that a mobility device is an extension of the person. So we want to make sure that we are asking permission before we just move their chair or their walker, ask if they need help. That would be like somebody just grabbing us by the arm and moving us somewhere without our permission. So I think that's something really important to remember. How many of you have your drivers pass off physically securing individuals and mobility devices and not just watch a video and take a test? Gary, okay. Ryan, go ahead. Or you're just raising your hand?
Just raise my hand.
Okay. Sorry, question in my head when that went up. Okay. As far as being able to deny someone's service, when is that permissible?
Only if you have a policy about what you will and will not accept on your ride.
Thank you, Lydia. Correct. If you have a passenger that has a mobility device and they refuse to wear a seatbelt or transfer to a seat, unless you have a policy in place that says they have to wear that, you cannot deny service. Sandra, go ahead.
Hey, Trista, yeah, we have a policy in place. We had an incident happen where one of our consumers refused to be seat belted, didn't want to be seat belted. And I guess the driver went ahead and transported her. And then I guess he had to stop suddenly and she slipped out of her chair. Luckily, he wasn't going really fast. But she did end up hurting her ankle. So we're just it's mandatory now. Everybody has to be sent, and we do have a policy in place where they have to be seat belted, and our drivers are trained that they do have to make sure that they're securing the individual with the seat belt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ryan, did you have a comment?
Yeah, one thing I thought of just now that we hadn't thought of previously on securement, we follow the state law where if someone refuses their lap and shoulder belt, we won't force them to utilize that. We do want to, notate that in case there is an incident that the customer refused that. However, if someone is not ready to ride, and what I mean by that, our expectation is when we show up to the curb to transport them, and this has come up a little bit recently, if someone, let's just say they've soiled themselves or they're not, if it's something that could create a biohazard, for instance, if, they had some sort of sore that was, if as long as it's bandaged and it's contained and okay, but we had one where someone had a sore that was not taken care of and it was oozing, that could be considered not ready to ride because that could be a biohazard for our drivers, where we would have a conversation with them and say, you need to get X, Y, or Z taken care of before we can transport you.
Okay. Thank you. I hadn't thought of that either as an issue. In one of our other meetings, an individual shared about, it was not within their transportation service, it was another company, but an individual was not strapped in. They had to slam on the brakes. The individual fell out of the chair. They didn't think they were injured very much, but it ultimately resulted in that individual's death. So it's just such a really important thing. And I think sometimes people can get complacent about it or think that I've done this 100 times. I don't need to double check myself. I don't need to make sure I followed all the steps. And so I just want to make sure we're reminding our folks to be hyper vigilant and always be aware of that. Driver's assistant that can double check them or various things, just depending on how your organization is structured. I just think it's really important. So do we have anything else that people want to add before we move on? Baby delivered in the backseat last year. I bet that was fun, Jay. The things we experience in the industry we're in, right?
It was a healthy baby, but a very messy calf.
I bet. Okay. We are probably going to finish up quite early today, but just a couple more things to go over. We do have the ERSTA conference coming up in September. The dates are September 18th to 21st. It will be held up in Cache County. The hotel is located in Logan. The conference facility is actually in Wellsville. It's the American West Heritage Center. So they have a lot of different fun activities and historical things there. We'll do a Dutch oven dinner one night and have some fun activities planned there. The rodeo, I believe, is taking place in Logan, correct, Ryan?
That's correct. It's at the old airport.
Okay. And do they have a pre-established rodeo course, or is that still in the works?
Yeah, that's still in the works. Cache Valley Transit is building a new garage there, which they will have a rodeo course set up. But we have held the rodeo in the same location a few years ago. It's a good spot. There is a little bit of a drive. Maybe it's a 10-minute drive.
Okay. So I'd encourage you to have your staff and drivers. It's on a Saturday, so if they're able to come and participate, the more the merrier. The rodeo is a really fun activity. I spoke to one of the drivers from Park City who won last year and went to the national, I think it's called the National Rodeo in Florida a couple weeks ago. Had a great time, said it was really fun. It was really hot. Apparently they were out in the sun all day, but they had a really good time. So if your drivers are the local winner, they would get that opportunity paid for by ERSTA. I do want to make sure people are aware that there is a chance that if you apply for a scholarship and are awarded a scholarship, that you may have some expenses. The scholarship may only be able to cover the state approved rate of $90 a night for the hotel rooms. And the rate that we have been able to negotiate with them was $139. So you may have that difference that you'll need to cover for the rooms. I don't want anybody to be surprised if that happens, but ERSTA is working on some options and solutions to hopefully be able to pay that full amount. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about or about the conference? It is open for registration now, so you can go to the ERSTA website. Make sure you do try to block your rooms from the link on that website so that you get the negotiated discounted rate for the rooms. They are limited, so the sooner you can get those reserved for your folks, the better. And Ryan's going to be our cook on Saturday at the rodeo, cooking us some burgers and dogs, so should be a fun time. Okay. If nobody has anything, those folks that we asked if you could stay after to talk about the crisis rides, that would be fantastic. And thank you for your time. We'll let you go. Oh, next meeting is in person in August on the 29th. It'll be held at the Turn Community Service office. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
So are we on the naughty list or something? How do you know what I did wrong?
You're always on the naughty list, Gary.
I'm trying to do better.
Is this detention? Am I being?
To stay after class.
What have I done?
Chris, do you want me to stop the recording of the video, or do we want to continue it? You're muted, Christy.
Is Sandra on? Is she just frozen?
I think she's just frozen. But do you want me to stop recording?
Yeah.
Okay, let me stop that.
Well, hopefully, we're not saying anything top secret. She just doesn't need to be on.